My name is Peyton Boyle, and I am a product specialist with the Utility Group. And before we begin, I will let my colleagues introduce themselves.
Yeah, my name is Marv Klein, and I am an application specialist with the Pipeline Group.
Hi, my name is John Cope. I'm an application engineer with the Pipeline Group.
Today, we are going to be discussing HDD fluid management for utility installations. To kick off this series, it is important to understand why you need to prioritize fluid management on an HDD site. Increasing regulations targeting fluid disposal and minimizing the risks of inadvertent returns are just a few issues facing contractors today. So first question, could you tell me why it is so important to address the topic of fluid management?
Drilling fluid is actually the lifeblood of the project. And without the right mixture and the right volume, everything can go downhill pretty quickly. And whenever we talk about fluid management, we're talking not only, what products to mix, we're also talking about whole volumes and being able to mitigate inadvertent returns.
So thanks for that, John. I think the topic of fluid management really pivots us to this next question, which is, how are disposal regulations changing how HDD drilling contractors approach fluid management?
It's pretty prevalent that there are more and more regulations being put in place around mud disposal. And with that, contractors are always looking for an alternative method or a way that they can help minimize and reduce the costs associated with that. And one example of that is we see more and more contractors talking and has shown interest in the utilization of reclaiming systems on their projects. And, traditionally reclaiming systems have been utilized in the larger HDD industry for several years, but due to some of the regulatory mandates that have been put in place for mud disposal, we're starting to see that migrate down into even to the small utility contractors.
With that, you talk about the scope of the project and them looking at alternative routes in which to take care of their fluid management or what that looks like on each individual job site. So why is a good fluid management plan critical to the success of the overall project?
To have that plan in place as far as fluid management goes, failure to do so can lead to some unexpected expenses. And also, there's going to be some missed opportunities if you don't have a plan in place, because many project managers right now and operators require a fluid management plan, not only for the expense, but also, do you have a contingency if something else happens? A good fluid plan will also mitigate inadvertent returns.
Yeah, and to add to that a little bit, I think also when we talk about a fluid management plan, it doesn't only pertain to how to manage the fluid on the job, but part of that plan is pre-planning to understand, what additives I'm going to need for the right ground conditions that I'm drilling in. Do I have enough additives to complete the project that's out in front of me? So, when you talk about a project fluid management plan, it's all those things and more.
So maybe to build off of that, when you say that, are contractors really budgeting for all of the amount of costs that might be endured through what that fluid management plan is, before the project even starts? What are the costs of those additives, or what is the cost of that support equipment that they might have to bring in to plan for that special project or that project?
Some, but not all. It's very lean, and depending on which job site you go to. If you're going on a telecom job site, they don't have the budget for that. If you're going on a big pipeline project, yes, they'll have the budget for, the mitigation of inadvertent returns. They'll have the extra additives. They'll have the extra equipment as far as vacs go to be able to go to that inadvertent return or that special problem they're having and be able to clean that area up.
Thank you for tuning in to today's discussion, and thank you, John and Marv, for attending as well. Over the next few months, we will cover topics like mud management, additive options, the role of reclaimer on a project, and how to set up your job site for success. If you have further questions or are interested in fluid management equipment, reach out to your local dealer or visit Vermeer.com.